Okay, so today I will try to finish the 12 link, the 12 factors. And we have touched the first link, avijja paccaya sankhara, dependent on ignorant karmic formation. And we have also dealt with the second link, sankhara paccaya vijnanam. Today we are going to the third link, vijnana paccaya namma rupam. Okay, so for the second link, dependent on karmic formation, consciousness. So this paccaya, sankhara paccaya vijnana. This paccaya means direct producing cause for the second link. But for the third link, vijnana paccaya namma rupa, dependent on consciousness, mind and body. This paccaya means condition, supporting cause, not a direct producing cause. So vijnana here can be, let us explain vijnana first, consciousness. Here consciousness can be resultant consciousness as before, as we explained yesterday. Or it can be karma formation consciousness. And it can be all types of consciousness. However, today, since it is not a Abhidhamma class, I'm not going to deal with you such detail. We will touch only resultant consciousness, which is rebirth consciousness, plus all 6 types of consciousness: eye consciousness, ear consciousness, nose consciousness, tongue consciousness, body consciousness, and mind consciousness. Remember, these are resultant consciousness. So, dependent on arising of consciousness, mind and body. Here, mind means all mental factors. All mental factors. So, at the very moment of conception, rebirth consciousness arises in the mother's womb. And remember one principle: consciousness cannot arise alone. It must be accompanied by several, at least 7 types of mental factors. For example, contact. The mental factors of contact must be there. Then feeling must be there. Perception must be there. Attention must be there. Another one is life faculty. So at least 7 mental factors we call universal mental factor must be arise together with all types of consciousness. But in this case, they arise together. Consciousness and mental factors arise together. And although they arise together, but it depend on consciousness, mental factors arise. Therefore, depend on consciousness, mind arise, mind and body. I'm now explaining to you mind first. Then we'll go to body. Okay, nama rupa. So in this case, consciousness is a supporting cause for mental factors to arise. And in fact, they all arise together. I think you still remember what is the meaning of Samuppada, Paticca-Samuppada, dependent origination. Sammu means Samma Upada. Samma in Malay language is called together. Upada is arising. So dependent on consciousness, they arise together. What arise together? Mental factor and materiality, including consciousness, all arise together. Okay. And what is this mind, body? Dependent on consciousness, mind and body. Mind is mental factors, or at least 7 mental factors. And what's this body? So at the very moment of conception in the mother's womb, there are 30 rupa. Rupa means materialities arise. The number 1 is called body decade kalapa. Body decade kalapa. The second group is arise in a group form. Heart base decade kalapa. Mean one group got 10 rupa. Therefore we call decade kalapa. And the third is sex decade kalapa. So at the very moment of conception, the sex is determined already. Whether this baby is female or male is determined already at the very first moment of conception. So dependent on this rebirth consciousness, then mental factors arise, and these 30 types of rupa, materiality, arise together. So this body initially is like, just like a drop of water, because it cannot be seen with ordinary eyes. Only through the development of times, then slowly this drop of water become more solid and gradually develop into fetus. Then gradually it get a nutriment from the mother again and again. Then slowly it develop, become bigger and bigger, until the eye faculty is developed, ear faculty is developed, nose, tongue, body, and mind, until all these 6 bases are developed, even in the mother's tongue, in mother's womb. Okay, so now you understand, dependent on consciousness, mind and body. Mind is the accompanied mental factor. Body is at least 30 group, 3 group of kalapa. One is called body decade kalapa. The second one is called heart base decade kalapa. The third one is called sex decade kalapa. So this, the third link. Now we go to the 4th link. Dependent on nama rupa, 6 sense bases. So inside mother's womb, the 6 sense bases, eye faculty, ear faculty, nose, tongue, body are developed. And my base, 6 bases. My base is not a physical base, it's consciousness. Mind base is consciousness. So dependent on mind and body, 6 sense bases will arise. How mind, dependent on mind and body, 6 sense bases. Let us talk about the mind, body first. Dependent on body, 6 sense bases arise. Here body, mind and body, here body means 4 elements. Earth element, water element, fire element, and wind element. So these 4 elements are called primary elements. And dependent on these 4 primary elements, 5 sense bases. Eye sensitivity, ear sensitivity, nose sensitivity, tongue sensitivity, and body sensitivity arise. And this 5 sensitivity we call 5 bases are called derived materiality. Derived from where? From the 4 elements. Therefore, dependent on body, which is 4 elements, 5 sense bases arise. Okay? Now there's another last one called mind base. Mind base is consciousness. So depend on mind and body, consciousness arise. So here mind means mental factors, right? Without the arising of mental factors, consciousness also cannot arise. Their relationship is mutual support. So now in this case, mental factors become conditioning. It conditions consciousness to arise, or it supports consciousness to arise. Sometimes consciousness supports mental factors to arise. Sometimes with the arising of mental factor, consciousness also come along. This is called mutual support. Okay? If you don't understand also, it doesn't matter. Because dependent origination is very profound. And if I have to talk in detail, then I have to go to Abhidhamma knowledge. Now, since we are not in Abhidhamma class, you have some idea enough. Okay, next link. What is the next link? Dependent on 6 sense bases, contact arise. This is very easy. So when this all the rupa in the mother's womb started to develop, then come out from the mother's womb, become a baby, then all the contacts start to work. Because babies start to see, oh, this is my mother. Okay? He may not recognize, but gradually he recognizes. So this is my mother, this is a human being. So gradually he recognizes when all the senses, eye, ear, nose, body and tongue, and mind, all senses are developed. Then his eyes start to see something. Or visible objects start to impinge his eye sensitivity. That impingement is called eye contact. Then sound start to impinge his ear sensitivity. That impingement is called ear contact. Then he can smell something. So any frequent things, any smell come to contact with his nose sensitivity, then it's called nose contact. Then he can drink something, mother's milk. So when mother's milk come to contact with his tongue sensitivity, there is tongue contact. Then his body can sense this is soft, this is hard. There is body contact. And his mind also knows how to think already. When hungry, he knows he's hungry, so he cries. So his mind knows how to think. That is body contact. Mind contact. When he think of something, that's mind contact. Therefore, depend on the 6 sense bases, 6 types of contact arise. This is very easy to understand. Then, dependent on contact, what arises? Feeling. As a practitioner, you should understand this. Otherwise, you don't understand the Dhamma well. Depend on 6 contacts. Let us forget about a baby. Then think of your own experience. When your eye, let's say we go for lunchtime. When your eyes start to see on the food, there's what contact? Eye contact. Any feeling arise in you or not? Yes or no? Yes. So no need to wait for Buddha to explain to you. You experience it yourself. So when the eye come to contact with the food, what type of feeling arise in you? Mostly pleasant feeling, especially when you are very hungry. That pleasant feeling, I want you to take the food so eagerly. So pleasant feeling arise in you. Then when your eye, not in this retreat, when your eye come to contact with someone you don't like, any feeling that arise in you? Yes. What type of feeling? Unpleasant feeling, right? Okay. Then when your eye come to contact with a stranger, you don't know him well, any feeling arise in you? No feeling, right? No feeling. Most people will experience no feeling. That no feeling is neutral feeling. There's not a time no feeling one. Whenever you feel, whenever there's contact, there must have either one of the three feelings. Whether it's pleasant, if not pleasant, it can be unpleasant. If not unpleasant, it must be neutral feeling, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. If you say no feeling, then you are no more human beings. Only plants, banana stem, banana tree, papaya tree, no feeling. So long you are human beings, when the feeling is not so obvious, that is called neutral feeling, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Remember that. Similarly, eye. When you hear something very pleasant, there's eye contact. Depend on eye contact. Pleasant feeling arise. Or when you listen when somebody scold you, when that unpleasant sound impinges your ear sensitivity, there is ear contact. And depend on the ear contact, what feeling arise? Unpleasant feeling arise in you. And during lunchtime, when the food touches your tongue sensitivity, there is tongue contact. And depend on this tongue contact, mostly for most people, pleasant feeling arise. Unless the food is the food you don't like. Otherwise, for most people, it's pleasant feeling. Similarly, body. When you sit on the cushion, at the very beginning, cushion is so soft. So you have pleasant feeling. After 45 minutes, the cushion like stone already, so hard. So yeah, because of that bodily contact, you have pain. Therefore, you have unpleasant feeling. Then mind also. You think something good, you have pleasant feeling, mind contact. When you think of something, there's mind contact. When you think something bad, there's unpleasant feeling. And when you are restless, maybe neutral feeling. Can be neutral, can be unpleasant, can be pleasant. Okay? So here it's very clear. Dependent on 6 types of contact. How many types of feeling will arise? Each 18 types. Each contact may trigger 3 types of feeling. Pleasant, unpleasant, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. So we have 6 contact. 6 times 3, 18 types of feeling. And these 18 types of feelings are the objects of your contemplation. These 18 types of feeling are the object of your contemplation under feeling contemplation under 4 foundations of mindfulness. Okay, now let's say when your eye go to the kitchen during lunchtime, when your eye come to contact with the food, and just now you say there's pleasant feeling. Suppose you are not aware. You are not aware of this pleasant feeling, what happened to your mind? You imagine your own experience. Don't answer me with your theory, okay? You experience, you go to the kitchen, look at the food, pindabat, right? Wow, this food, very good. So that pleasant feeling arises in you. what follow after that pleasant feeling? Do you investigate your mind or not? Your experience or not? Is your experience? Yes. Okay. How about others? Huh? Attachment, greed, wanting more. I think most people, when for the all people here, most of you, when your eye come to contact with the food, you feel pleasant feeling. Everybody feel it, but most people stop short there. Stop short. Do not see what coming up after that pleasant feeling. Even something coming up, you also stop short there. Stop short means you don't contemplate. What I mean stop short. You didn't contemplate your feeling. So when you didn't contemplate your pleasant feeling, then as Jenny said, craving will arise after pleasant feeling. So dependent on feeling, Buddha say, what arise? Craving. Dependent on feeling, craving arises. And sometimes somebody scolded you. Then there's ear contact. Then unpleasant feeling arises. So how can unpleasant feeling trigger craving? Because we say dependent on feeling, craving, right? So how can unpleasant feeling trigger craving? First is wanting to avoid that harsh word. Secondly, long for sweet word, right? Being scolded by so many times by your spouse, you hope he can tell something sweet to you. So you long for sweet words. This is also craving. Usually, pleasant feeling trigger dependent on pleasant feeling, craving. Dependent on unpleasant feeling, anger. Usually it works in this way for everybody. Dependent on neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling, ignorance will arise. You thought no feeling. When you think there's no feeling, it's already ignorance already. You don't know. Any moment there's feeling one. So you thought no feeling. Today I have no feeling. Then that's ignorant. So usually work in this way. But sometimes, because unpleasant feeling that keep on arise in your mind, so your mind want to avoid that in long for the pleasant feeling, that is craving. That's craving already. Therefore, dependent on unpleasant feeling, craving will also arise. And sometimes dependent on neither pleasant nor unpleasant, or neutral feeling. Let's say a yogi may go into fourth jhana. In the fourth jhana, there is no pleasant feeling, neither unpleasant feeling, only equanimity, neither pleasant nor unpleasant. But that neither pleasant nor unpleasant is very pleasant. That neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling, we call it upekkha, is very calm, serene. Then the mind start to get attached to this type of serenity, this type of calmness. Therefore, dependent on neither pleasant nor unpleasant feeling, craving also arises. Okay, so now you understand. Dependent on feeling, craving arises. Whether it's pleasant or unpleasant, or neither pleasant nor unpleasant, also can cause craving to arise. Okay, suppose craving arise in your mind. Then what will you do? Don't tell me your book knowledge. Imagine any experience you have when there's craving in your mind. What's the next moment? What will you do? Recognize it. Then some more. ignore it. Okay, this is your experience. For some, any other people's experience? When it's craving, let's say when you eat the food, give you more specific one. Huh? When you eat the food, taste pleasant feeling. Huh? Then dependent on pleasant feeling, craving arise. When craving arise, at the time when you eat the food, what will you do next? Eat more. Correct. Because the mind having craving in the mind, you want to eat more. So you want to eat more, you have to stretch your hand, right? Otherwise, how to eat more? Stretch your hand, take more. 1 spoonful, another spoonful, third spoonful. This stretching your hand to get something is called clinging. Clinging. You stretch your hand because craving become intense. You need to act. You need to act already. So you stretch your hand. This stretching out to get something you want is called clinging. So depend on craving, clinging arise. And when you stretch something to get the food you want, is this action or not? Yes, this is action. So this is called action already. Therefore, any action done based on craving and clinging will produce its karmic effect. Because just now you stretch your hand to get something is pushed by craving and clinging, right? So being pushed by craving and clinging, you stretch out your hand to get something you desire. This is just an example. In our daily life, there are so many examples. You go window shopping. When your eye sees something you want, so you walk in and buy one. So this buying something you want is called action already, right? This action is pushed by what? Craving and clinging. So after buying it, you have performed one action. That action leaves behind karmic energy. And similarly, when you are young, you fall in love with one woman. And because of craving for that woman, then cannot sleep, cannot eat. Every night think of her. Then what to do? How to satisfy your craving? Becomes so intense, craving become clinging. Therefore, you cannot eat, cannot sleep, cannot work. Whole night think of her. Then what to do? How to make you satisfied? Act. Write her letter. Write her letter so slow. Writing letter is out of date. Immediately go after her. Call her. Talk to her. All this. Either writing letter, maybe he is more, how to call, 比较斯文的. For somebody, they act immediately. So either you are writing letter, calling her, or approaching her, come close to her. All these are called actions. In Buddhist term, it's called karma. All these are called karma. So many, how to call, there are many examples you can check in your work, in your daily life. Okay. For example, another example. You want to earn more money. You want to earn more money because you think that this money not enough to support my family. You want to earn more, so you work hard. Because of wanting to earn more, it's also one type of craving, right? Then you work very hard in order to get the money you want. This working very hard is also action, right? Every day you work like horse. So this is also action. This action also leaves behind karmic energy. Right? And this karmic energy follow our mental stream. When all the conditions matured, then it will produce another birth. Therefore, all this karmic energy is called becoming. dependent on clinging becomings. Upadana Pacchaya Bhavo. There are two types of becoming. One is called karma becoming. Now we are talking about karma becoming. All the bodily action, mental action, physical action are called karma becoming. Previously, we talked dependent on ignorance, that is sankhara, right? So that is past life. That sankhara and this becoming is the same thing. It's a karmic bodily action, verbal action, and mental action. But that sankhara, dependent on ignorance sankhara, that belong to previous life. Now becoming here belong to present life. Now we have performed so many karma, good or bad, all leave behind karmic energy. And all this karma are being pushed by craving. Craving is the how to call it? Behind the action, to push you to do this so that you can get what you desire. What you desire at mentally without action, then you cannot get the thing you want. So you have to act, whether verbally or physically. So all the action done, all the action performed, leave behind karmic energy. All these are called becoming. Okay? So, becoming, so in this lifetime, we have performed so much karmic already, good or bad. Then during our dying moment, one type of karma may be performed in this lifetime, or maybe second past life, or third past life, or maybe even 200 lifetime ago. So during this lifetime, one karma, let's say good karma, suddenly ripen. Suddenly ripen, then it will manifest itself by one of the three signs that I explained to you before. One is called karma. Let's say karma. Give an example. Today you offer the food. So you go to kitchen and offering food to more than 35 yogis. So you offer with so much happiness. Then during your dying moment, and this karma ripened. This karma ripened and it manifests itself as karma during dying moment. You will see yourself like as though you are in Appamada and offering the food to the yogi again. Just like a movie, you are watching the movie. The second one is sign of karma. So this dying person will see the rice she offered, or she will see all the dishes she offered. Okay, this is called sign of karma. Or she may see if this dana, this offering, produce his rebirth in human, he may see the red color in the mother's womb. Or if this dana offering produce his rebirth in the heavenly realm, he may see big house, mansion in the heaven, or he may see heavenly beings. Okay, so one of the three signs will arise. Okay, so at that moment, we call near-death cognitive process. Near-death cognitive process will take this sign, let's say sign of karma. He see all the rices, all the dishes. This near-death cognitive process will take this sign of karma as object. Then followed by death consciousness. Then this person pass away. after that consciousness, this person passed away. But that dana offering produced his rebirth. Therefore, dependent on becoming birth, new birth comes about. Dependent on becoming new birth. And this new birth, the first moment of birth is called rebirth consciousness, right? And this rebirth consciousness will take this sign of karma, like rice or dishes. One rebirth consciousness arise and pass away, followed by 16 bhavanga mind. Followed by many bhavanga mind. And gradually, in mother's womb, then you develop the physical, become a small lump of flesh in the mother's womb until this baby is born. Until this is born, then you become a baby. When the life start to go on, then along the life you will face sickness, aging, old age, and finally death again. Again, same thing, the same process will go on endlessly without stop. Therefore, Buddha said, thus arise aging, sickness, death, sorrow, lamentation, pain, despair. Thus arise the whole mass of suffering. Arise, this last word also important. Arise the whole mass of suffering. So in this dependent origination, Buddha never say a person. He didn't say that, does this person suffer a lot, or this person suffer endlessly. No, he never say like that. He said that, thus arise the whole mass of suffering. So the great commentator, Buddha Gosa, said that, only suffering. No one undergo suffering. Suffering exists, but no one undergoes suffering. This is correct view, right view. If you say that, oh, I undergo suffering, I undergo cycle of rebirth, cycle of birth and death, is also correct, but it's conventionally, we speak it conventionally only. But when you say like that, in your mind, you must be clear. There's no one undergoes suffering, but suffering remains there. It's suffering having mind and body only. Suffering owing to having mentality and materiality. So all this dependent origination, 12 factors, are connected with only mind and body, mentality and materiality. Simply because you have not yet let go the identity view, sakkaya ditthi. So you identify, oh, it's my ignorance, oh, my karma, oh, my karma perform, so give rise to new rebirth. It's because we human beings, most of us, have not yet eradicated this identity view. Therefore, we identify the ignorant is myself, karmic formation is myself, contact is myself, six sense basis is my six sense basis. Because of six sense basis, there's contact. Then there's a pleasant feeling. I experience pleasant feeling. And because of that pleasant feeling, I have craving. And because of that craving, I have clinging. And in order to satisfy my clinging, I have to act. So you put everything I. Therefore, this dependent origination become yours. Become yours. Buddha never tell like that. Buddha use conventional truth to say there's one person, but otherwise how to explain the Dhamma? If Buddha didn't use the conventional truth, most people cannot understand what Buddha is trying to say. So conventional truth is for convenient, for the sake of convenient, for easy to convey his message. But as a practitioner, in order to grow, in order to develop our understanding and wisdom, we have to go beyond that. Otherwise, your identity view will become very strong. And the first aim to become Sotapan, stream enterer, is to cut this identity view. So you don't make it stronger. You make it weaker by always go to the ultimate truth. Not seeing a person, you see the suffering, yes, but you don't see a person who suffers. Just like when you see the pain, you don't say, my pain, my pain. If you say, my pain, oh, my pain is killing me, then you cannot bear the pain at all. Why? Because you identify the pain with yourself. But you see pain as pain. Suffering exists, but no sufferer. No one suffer the pain. Then who experience the pain? If you say suffering exists, but no one suffer the pain, then who experiences the pain? There's one mental factor. So anytime if I check with you, there's no one, then your mind quickly go back to only mind and body, these two. So answer the question using these two as your base. So who suffer the pain? Unpleasant feeling. We have one unpleasant feeling, right? At that time, unpleasant feeling experience the pain. Is that unpleasant feeling yourself or not? Yes or no? No. Unpleasant feeling is not a self. When we talk about a self, it means that it's an abiding, permanent self. So if that pain or unpleasant feeling is yourself, you can immediately shift your posture. Then that pain and unpleasant feeling disappeared. But you yourself remain sitting there, right? Do you disappear together with the unpleasant feeling? No. So you yourself remain sitting there. So this clearly shows that unpleasant feeling or pain is not yourself, right? If it were self, then you die together with unpleasant feeling. And one day, how many unpleasant feelings you have? How many? Cannot count. So if you think that all these unpleasant feelings are yourself, then you have already died many times. Also cannot count. Right? If you identify unpleasant feeling as yourself, then you also die many times or cannot count. So this type of wise attention is important for you to understand nothing is myself. Right? All are conditioned phenomena. When we talk about conditioned phenomena, it means that all these things are produced by causes. Therefore, it's called conditioned phenomena or called sankhara. So all these sankhara are produced by causes. Is the cause permanent or impermanent? Impermanent, everybody know. You can through your experience, your pain is impermanent. You shift a little bit, pain disappear. Then another pain come again. Then you do on the pain, you stand up, pain disappear again. So impermanent, it produced by causes. So then you say the cause is impermanent. If the cause is impermanent, can be the effect permanent? Cannot, right? Cause is impermanent, of course, effect also will be impermanent. So everything produced by causes is called sankhara or called conditioned phenomena. And it's an effect, right? Because it's produced by causes. So since causes are impermanent, how can be the effect permanent? So this type of wise attention is also required in your meditation practice. Many students, or even the teacher, neglect this type of wise attention. We call yoniso manasikara. And this is one of the factors of to become stream enterer. So meditation is not only not think of anything, not correct. Dependent origination, you see, Buddha thinks so deeply, depend on ignorant karmic formation. He also have to think in order to find out the whole process of birth and death. So meditation accept Anapana, no need to think. Samatha, no need to think. Vipassana, you need investigation. Investigation is one of the factors of enlightenment. We have seven factors of enlightenment, Sambojjhanga. The second factor, the first factor is mindfulness. The second factor is investigation of the Dhamma. So what I explained to you just now is investigation of the Dhamma. Okay, so this is how the suffering arises, dependent on ignorance. And ignorance is not yourself. Please remember. Ignorance is only a mental factor. And dependent on not knowing, then karmic formation. One perform the karma. This belongs to past life. Then, once karma performed, it leaves behind karmic energy. So during dying moment, one of the karma ripen, become producing cause for consciousness. We call rebirth consciousness. And because of this rebirth consciousness, there is mental factor, mind and body. Mind means mental factor. And there's body means 4 elements. And because there is mental factors, there's 4 elements, then there is 6 sense bases. Because there is 6 sense bases, there is contact. Because there's contact, there is feeling. Because there's feeling, there is craving. Because there's craving, there is clinging. Intense craving. And because there's clinging, there's action. In order to fulfill, to satisfy your clinging, you have to act. So because of that action, we call becoming. And leave behind karmic energy, and this karmic energy ripen will produce new birth. We call birth. Dependent on becoming, there is birth. When there is birth, there is aging, sickness, and death. No one can escape from that, even the Buddha. So, thus, Buddha said, thus arise the whole mass of suffering. And this cycle of rebirth will continue to roll, to revolve, so long ignorance and craving are not completely destroyed. It will continue again and again, endlessly. Okay, so this is the explanation of dependent origination. Tomorrow we will see how to cut off the link so that it will not continue. Okay, thank you.